In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 things that you should know before you start your filmmaking and content creation journey. What's up, guys? My name is Nate. Welcome back to the channel. And today, I'm really talking about 5 things that I wish I knew that I think would be helpful for you. And I already went through the process of living and learning so that you don't have to, all right? So that's why I'm sharing these 5 things that I wish I knew before I started my filmmaking and content creation journey. Number 1, the first thing I wish I knew before I started was your first project is probably gonna suck. And I don't use that word too lightly, okay? Suck is a loaded word. But honestly, once I first started making films or comedy skits or whatever, I had a little bit of an expectation of what I thought my project should come out and look like. And it was a pretty rude awakening. Now, don't get me wrong. It was something that I was proud of doing and putting myself out there and just creating something for the first time, but I didn't realize how much I didn't know. So that was something that I wish I had known ahead of time so I wouldn't have had such high expectations. But the reason that this is also good, I think, is because your first project kind of has to suck. I mean, that's the only way that you're gonna get better is by looking at your old projects, seeing what didn't work, what did work, and moving from there. You know, my first short film, the story, pretty good. The overall production of it, absolutely horrible. My first commercial, cool that I got to do it. Overall, looking back at it now, I can't believe that a business actually gave me permission to do that. So it wasn't good. But now I've learned so much about the whole filmmaking process that I'm able to look back at those things and learn from those mistakes. The second thing that I wish I knew is that you don't need top of the line gear or a crew to get started. Now, for a long time, I put off getting into my filmmaking and content creating. At the time, I didn't even call it those 2 things. I just wanted to make comedy skits. But I put off making comedy skits for a long time because I didn't think I had a good enough camera. I didn't have people around me that I thought would want to do this with me. I also didn't have people around me that knew how to do these things. It was really just me with an aspiration by myself. And the reality was that I didn't need any of those things. I didn't need a crazy camera. I didn't need a professional film crew to do it. All I needed to do was take a step in that direction. I went out and I bought like a really, really cheap camcorder. I think I spent like $50 on it. And then I just had my friends hold a camera while I made a fool of myself in front of it. That got the ball rolling for me to keep making comedy skits to see what I was able to do and how I could improve from there. And then as I got better, more and more people actually wanted to work with me on those things. Other people who had those same aspirations that I wouldn't have known otherwise started to reveal themselves as people that wanted to make content, make comedy skits, make short films, whatever it was. And also, just a side note, even if I did have professional film gear, it's not like I knew how to use it. So if I did get really, really high quality professional film gear, I would have taken probably even longer because I would have had to learn how to use it properly. And that would have just delayed the whole process even more. So yeah. Now, the third thing that I really wish I knew before I started, people really don't care as much as you think they do. I was somebody who cared a lot about what people thought of me. I cared a lot about what people thought of the work I was creating. I cared if people thought I was funny. I really just cared what people thought. And the reality is, people really don't care that much. And I don't mean that in an insensitive way. I don't mean like you should just say and do whatever you want and not ever care what somebody thinks, because that could be mean. But I allowed my own insecurities of how my creation could be perceived delay the process. Or there were projects that I had worked on that I actually never put out because I was nervous of what people would think. And the reality is that when you're doing filmmaking and content creation, there is an audience. There are people who are going to watch your stuff. There are people who are going to like your stuff. There's people who are going to not like your stuff. But you can't let what people think dictate whether or not you pursue something that you're passionate about. The fourth thing that I wish I knew before I started was YouTube is an unbelievable resource to get better at filmmaking and content creation. And if you're watching this video right now, I'm assuming you already know that because this video is on YouTube. But for me, I went to a college that had a film, video, and media program that, looking back now, I don't think I learned as much as I should or could have. And as soon as I left school, I was in positions where I had to learn how to do things for video that I did not learn in school. So for example, when I first got out of college, I got a video editing contracted position for a company. And one of the first jobs they gave me was, we're gonna send you a bunch of green screen footage, key out all the green and put in like a tech looking background. And I had no idea how to remove a green screen from a video. Now this was my first real job. This was a massive company. I didn't really know what to do. So I just went on Google and I Googled it and I found a YouTube video that walked me through it in like 3 minutes. And 10 minutes later, that green screen was gone. Now I know what some of you are thinking, how did you get a job doing video editing if you didn't even know how to do a green screen? And the answer is I don't know. But it was after that I realized, wow, YouTube has everything I could possibly need. And I just dove into YouTube tutorials. And if I'm being totally honest, I feel like I have learned more from YouTube and the YouTube filmmaking content creation community than I would have just from my program at school. So if you're about to dive into this, keep watching YouTube videos, keep learning and looking up tutorials, because you're honestly gonna learn so much on here. And I wish I started learning from YouTube sooner. And the last thing that I wish I knew before I started my filmmaking and content creation journey is there are so many ways to be a filmmaker and pursue filmmaking and be a content creator and pursue content creation besides working in Hollywood. When I first started this and I wanted to be a filmmaker, I wanted to be a comedian, I wanted to be an actor, and all that stuff, I thought it was Hollywood or nothing. And I put a ton of pressure on myself. I put a ton of pressure on this dream that I had to be this big filmmaker because I thought that was the only way. And over time, it was shown to me that you don't have to do that. There are so many different ways that you can do that. YouTube being one of the biggest ones. I think YouTube is one of the most awesome platforms for you to tell your stories, build an audience, and create content. But when I first started out this journey, I didn't really even think about that. Like YouTube was always something I wanted to do, but there were periods when I first dove into, I'm gonna be a filmmaker, that it wasn't something I considered. Now, if you're dead set on your filmmaking journey being like, I'm gonna be a director for Disney and Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff, then yeah, maybe that is the route you want to go. But if you're also somebody who just wants to be able to tell your stories and have fun with it, and you're open to other avenues of doing that, there are so many ways you can do that now, especially in the age of social media. We live in a world where creators can have access to do that from wherever they are. So those are the 5 things that I wish I knew before I started filmmaking and content creating. I hope you found this video helpful. If you like this video, give it a like, because that's pretty dope. My name is Nate. Thanks for watching. Keep telling stories, and I'll see you in the next video.